All right, we are live, and today we will be discussing Sean's pick. A nice mustache, Sean. Actually, it really looks good. Um, and Sean, do you want to tell us about the film that you chose today?
Yes, 1989's Dream a Little Dream was released March 3rd, 1989. Uh, Opening weekend was around 2.5 million, only got about 5.5 worldwide eventually. I couldn't find the budget, so I mean, who knows? Uh, but I chose this because I got into the two Corys a lot, like just philosophically. I watched a lot of their stuff in
Mm.
prep for this film, and it's not like it's you know a unique movie because here, let me just read the blurb here. An accident puts the consciousness of an elderly dream researcher into the body of a bratty teenager. The problem: the kid prefers dream world limbo to real life. Funny thing about this script is that it was had three different writers on it, and one of
Mhm.
them was the director. I mean, the screenplay is kind of little. Uh, it was overwritten, where like it seemed like the screenwriters didn't like a certain line, and then erased one line and changed it to another one. That's what it seemed like. Because if you just follow the scene logically with the dialogue, it doesn't go anywhere. And also, the editing kind of makes the movie incoherent. I don't know if you guys ever saw Terrence Malick's The New World. It had montage. This movie seemed like it tried to do something with the montage by giving it an ethereal feeling, and it
Mhm.
just didn't work because we're over here, and then Meredith Salinger's dancing, and then we're back with Corey Feldman talking to Corey Haim. But this movie did have a sequel in 1995. I saw that one too.
Direct to video, correct?
Direct to video. It was absolutely horrendous. It was so 90s. It was embarrassing, and it
Was
really
it
had.
still starring the two Corys?
Yes, yes, Corey. Yes, and they had a new character who's a chick who they alluded to. It was Corey Haim's sister, and then at the end of Dream a Little Dream 2, Corey Feldman and the sister like get together, and the sister's played by Robin Lively, who is Blake Lively's older sister by like 15 years. So I just
Okay.
think that's a little weird. The sequel was absolutely horrendous. But let me just read the list of the two Corey movies. We have The Lost Boys '87, License to Drive '88, Dream a Little Dream '89, Blown Away, which is a Canadian TV movie in 1993. So not the Tommy Lee Jones, Jeff Bridges 1994 Blown Away. This other Blown Away in 1993, and I saw it. It's soft core pornography. So
Okay.
if you want to see Corey Haim's butt and almost his penis, Blown Away 1993. You see Nicole Eggert from Baywatch and Charles in Charge. Within 10 minutes, Corey Haim is like licking her nipple within 10 minutes of this movie. Then I saw Dream a Little Dream 2. Then there was a movie that Corey Feldman directed called Busted, which is another very cheap direct-to-video movie that's reminiscent of Police Academy. Corey Haim was in that, but Corey Haim got really into pills because he was diddled as a kid, and Corey Feldman had to fire Corey Haim. Then Corey Haim goes back up to Toronto because he's Canadian, and over the past 10 years, he gains 100 pounds, then loses 100 pounds.
Wait, who goes back to Canada?
Corey Haim goes
Yeah.
back to Canada around 96 when his best friend Feldman fired him. Over the next 10 years, Corey Haim gains 100 pounds, loses 100 pounds, then moves back to Burbank, California to do a reality TV show called The Two Corys. There's 2 seasons. I saw all the episodes. I'll tell you this. I did. I paid money for it
Were
too.
you okay? I know that this is probably a little before your time, but were you like a like a child fanboy of the Coreys in the 80s?
Not really,
Because I
because I
mean,
was
you were
more of
what,
a
like 7 years old or
I was
8 years
yeah,
old when
yeah,
this
but I was more of a
came out?
movie snob back then. I
When
just really
you were
got
a
into
movie
it.
snob at the ripe old age of 8?
8, 9, 10, 13,
Okay,
15. Yeah.
fair
But
enough.
yeah. But so yeah, I saw all the episodes of the two Corys just because I really got into Corey Haim. It's like, hey, he gained 100 pounds, lost 100 pounds, moved back, and then he's doing this reality TV show. The first season, which is like a bad sitcom. Corey Haim moves into Corey Feldman's house, and Corey Feldman always pulls hot chicks. His wife, slamming hot. Corey Feldman, who was like 5'7", hot chicks all the time. I don't know how he does it. I don't get it. But
It's
anyway,
not that
so
hard.
I guess. But then the second season, uh, a lot of that stuff wasn't staged because you see Corey Haim's drug use and his cyclical arguing and the pills and stuff. And when Feldman had to tell Haim that they're already making a Lost Boys 2 and he doesn't have a part, he like cries, and it's really, some of it gets pretty intense, and they have a huge blowout in the end, and they
This is on
left
the
it on a
reality show?
cliffhanger. Huh?
This is on the reality show?
Yes. And they left it on a cliffhanger, as in like Corey Haim blew up at Feldman because Feldman tried to schedule an intervention with Pauly Shore and Todd Bridges from Different Strokes. Corey Haim wasn't going to have any of that shit. Left. Then Feldman went to Haim's house. They had a big blowout, calling each other about their mothers and stuff. And then he left a message. He sent a message. Haim sent a message to Feldman about meeting him on a Hollywood hill. And you see footage of Feldman driving. He might go, he might not go, and that's it. And there wasn't a season 3. So it was weird to me because it seemed like it was staged. I mean, it's not that reality TV.
Well, that's how all reality TV shows are.
But Corey Haim was not acting. I'll tell you this. I seen his movies when he was an adult. He's not that good of an actor. He was a better actor when he was a kid. Silver Bullet, Haim was great. Lucas, Haim was great. Even Lost Boys, he was really good. But as he got older, he just, you got to go to acting class or something. As you're a child actor going to an adult, it's different. It's just different as an adult. So you got to go to acting class. But they were and then they did a National Lampoon's movie before Busted. This is in 94, called National Lampoon's Last Resort. That one cost money to watch, and I wasn't going to spend the $4.
All right, let's not get too in the weeds about the two Coreys. Let's get back to the movie.
So yeah,
itself.
I got really into it. I watched this movie. I thought it was great. I liked the art direction. I love the costumes. I still think their clothes look cool. I would wear those clothes.
You mean the basically the commercial punk rock, a few years too late look?
Not even that. Corey Feldman, he had like a not even a belt that hung off his hip. It was like a bike lock that hung off his hip. He had all this pins and stuff. Even Corey Haim's hair, he dyed it red and he kind of spiked it out his jacket that said Drunken State on the back, and he had like the patches. I think that looks cool. I dig it.
Okay.
I thought he had Feldman had a very Michael Jackson vibe the whole time.
Especially in the scene where he was doing Michael Jackson's
yes,
dance
but like
moves
throughout, even the clothing was very. I was
and
like,
the hair. And
well, I think that was. I mean, I don't think that was even like supposed to be subtle. I think the pretense was that this old guy who's trapped inside of Corey Feldman's body, who has to adjust to being a teenager and needs to look cool but not too cool, and has to. That's when he started like curling his hair the way that Michael Jackson did in the late 80s. Like in Bad. I mean, he was going for the Bad look, which is the album Bad came out in 1987. So it's really not that long. It's really not that far off. So like the look is literally lifted off of Bad. And I think the idea is that like this old goofball doesn't know how to dress hip. So he's just trying to like mimic like that's where the Michael Jackson thing came from. I think it was
Yeah,
meant to
okay.
be, I don't know.
Also,
I got to
Corey
say
Feldman
something.
and Michael Jackson, they knew each other. Like Feldman and
Why
Michael
why
Jackson.
wouldn't they? Why
Why
wouldn't they,
would-
I'm
right?
just saying they knew each other.
I
They
mean,
hung
Yeah.
out. Feldman was at the Playboy Mansion all the time. Go ahead, Abram. I don't know.
No, I was going to say this film was a lot more entertaining than I expected it to be, and a lot more coherent than the critics suggested. And I'm surprised. Like going into listen, the first 15 minutes of it, I was like, "What the fuck did Sean do to us? Like, why is he making us watch this?" But after a while, I mean, there was enough going on. Like, first of all, Mo Green was in this. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Yeah, that was the
Mo Green.
stepfather.
Oh, really?
The co-writer, director, a guy named Mark Rocco. Feldman's dad is his stepfather.
Okay, cool. So
And
yeah,
he,
so
took his name.
yeah, so Corey Feldman's stepdad in the film is what was the guy's name? Mark Rocco or
Alex Rocco.
Oh, Alex Rocco, yeah, who played Mo Green in The Godfather.
And Facts of Life. And
Yeah.
Golden Girls. He was Dorothy's love interest in Golden Girls and Joe's dad in Facts of Life. Sorry,
Yeah,
I don't know why.
right.
You know
Okay,
that.
cool. That's interesting. I didn't remember that, but yeah. So that was cool. Hang on, what else? So there was a dialogue thing going on, which I thought was way overdone, but it was really interesting. Where cutting between the younger cutting between the young leads and the older leads. The older leads would be Piper Laurie. Okay, a lot of like props needs to go out to Piper Laurie. She's a fantastic actress, still with us today. And she's I think 92 years old now, something like that. And she plays the wife of
Gina.
Yeah, she plays Gina. And so there's all these intimate scenes between her and what's the actor's name who plays
Jason Robards?
Yeah. Between her and Jason Robart, and they will finish the dialogue, and then it'll cut to Corey or one of the other younger characters in a separate scene, and their dialogue will basically pick up where the dialogue left off in the previous cut. And I think they do that gimmick at least like several dozen times throughout the film.
Yeah.
And I don't know how well it works from a narrative standpoint or from a filmmaking standpoint, but like I think the reason that I really enjoyed this film is probably the musician in me. The film was very well orchestrated from a sonic standpoint. The dialogue was really pleasurable to the ear. It was like and also the score was awesome. Not just the selection of songs that they were able to put into this film. The soundtrack is absolutely amazing. But the way that the timing of the different songs, the way it was done, it's kind of like one long music video.
Mm-hmm.
And I just watched it. Like once I realized that that's kind of what it was going to be like the whole time, I just sort of sat back, paid just like casually paid attention to the story, which wasn't wasn't nearly as convoluted and complex as the critics tried to make it out to be. It was just sort of like it was really very derivative. I mean, the story is basically like Freaky Friday. Freaky Friday, I think, would be the original one.
No,
what was Freaky Friday based on?
No, I looked this up. The kid from The Toy, he was in one of these switcheroo movies in like 1982 called
Freaky Friday. The original Freaky Friday is older than all of that.
Yeah, Freaky Friday's old.
It's a Disney movie that's Freaky Friday.
Yeah,
it's not. I thought you were talking about the Jamie Lee Curtis.
The switcheroo thing is ancient.
No, that's what I'm saying. Freaky Friday, as far as I know, is the original one, and they've remade it. and they've
Several times.
ripped it off. They've remade
Yeah.
that particular film and ripped it off. But so yeah, and there's been a lot of variations on this theme. So it wasn't anything new there, but I thought it was relatively well done and interesting, and the acting was good and all that. But like what I really did was basically just sit back and enjoy this long 1980s music video. That's what it was
Mhm.
for me.
I counted.
And it was very
4
nostalgic, and just the
Mhm.
the wardrobes and everything. Because I have an older sister who was born in 1974, which is sort of the sweet spot for a movie like this. My
Yeah.
sister was probably about 15 when this came out, and so I'm sure she watched this movie in the theaters. I'll have to find out. I'll have to ask Dino next time I talk to her. But yeah, I mean, everything about this film reminded me of her, and like, growing, like, sort of like growing up in her shadow, being an 80s baby, but like a really young 80s baby. And, and all this 80s pop culture that I was exposed to from my older sister, who's like, 8 years older than me. So it's sort of like I see a lot of this period in this culture through the lens of my sister, in
Yeah.
a sense. And that was kind of just, it was a very nostalgic kind of thing. But that's pretty much what I got on this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. I counted 4 music montages, and films back then, like the popcorn eating films, they really emphasized that. They would buy a song and try to compilate a soundtrack to sell along with with the movie tickets.
Oh, yeah.
Like the cassette tapes and stuff. And there was a guy named Michael Damian, and he had the song "Rock On" that was associated with this film, and that was one of the highlights of the the #1 song, and the movie was released along the same time.
Which reminds me, spoiler alert, meaning that this is a movie that I plan to select in the future that I have actually never seen, but I've been a big fan of the soundtrack forever. It's called FM. Have you guys ever heard of this film?
I don't think so.
Sounds really familiar.
It came out in the late 70s. It was a flop, but it's sort of like a cultural classic. Do you guys know the song by Steely Dan, FM?
No,
All right. Well, I'm sure you do. If you heard it,
I might have heard it.
They wrote that song particularly for this film, but it was a film that was jam-packed with, and this was the last film where you could really do this. And that's why I was so surprised by this film, because this is after all of these really restrictive copyright laws came into effect that made it very difficult for filmmakers to get a lot of big songs into their films cheaply. That sort of ended in the late 70s. So I was like, really, like, they don't show the budget for this film, which is really curious to me, because I can't imagine that this wasn't an extraordinarily expensive film to make just on the music licenses alone. Because they were doing interesting covers and stuff like that, but they did a lot of original, like, big hits. I mean, they did "Young at Heart" by Frank Sinatra. They did, "Dream." They did all these different versions of "Dream a Little Dream," which is the title, the song that the title of the film is named after, and that's the song that's played most prominently in all of its various iterations. But there were a ton of big hits in this movie, and so I mean, the licenses for the music alone must have exceeded the box office receipts, if I were to guess.
Yeah, I looked at the songs at the end of the credits. There was this one guy named John William Dexter, who was in there a lot, and another guy named Mickey Thomas. And Mickey Thomas sounds familiar, like he was in Fleetwood Mac or something. I don't know, but I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to give this movie also to Judy, because I figured she would love this film. Am I right?
I did. I actually
liked it. Yeah.
I loved it. I had the same experience as Abram. I started watching it and I was like, okay, this is, old man lip syncing, and it's terrible. Like it's clearly not him. And I was like, what is going on? And then like the weird conversations with the two choreos. Sorry, my cat is like circling me.
It's good. It's good. It's good film.
So I'm just petting my cat. And I was like, I don't know what this is about, but the music was just so good. It just sort of like it left me with like this just nostalgic feeling. I was like, I felt like my grandparents. It was like life was so much simpler back then. There wasn't all this like social media and like everything. This just feels so like rushed. It just like brought me back. Now I had to suspend. Sorry, I had to suspend reality because I kept thinking. The main question I had was like, where did the old people go? And I call them that because they do in the movie. They just like disappeared. I'm like,
Yeah,
are
they
they in a
disappeared.
coma? Like he goes to talk to his friend and like he's like, it's me, and that's all great, fine. But then it's just like, well, where's their bodies? Like, are they in a coma in the hospital? Like, I don't know where they went. And then they just like came back at the end. But I sort of did like I was enjoying the music so much and I was enjoying the story that was like really cheesy, kind of like it's almost like punk Disney. It reminded me a little bit.
Yeah.
It had this like
There's
feel good.
underage drinking and smoking.
And
A lot
wait,
of
and
underage drinking.
and I know it's like it's unclear, but like did Piper Laurie inhabit Meredith Salinger?
She did, but
But
because she wasn't invested, this is what they said, because she wasn't as invested as much in the dream work, she wasn't fully conscious in the
or
other body, something
yeah,
like that.
and as a result, then Meredith Salinger's character wasn't fully conscious of Gina inhabiting her. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was like they were sort of two, but like it was only recognized in the dream state when like Lainey came out and said like, oh yeah, they were in my dream last night. Okay, what does it mean? So she was like sort of aware of it. There was just some stuff like, and I don't know. I thought it was kind of lame in the writing of it. You have this big budget with these, the soundtrack and great actors for the time, and it's just like, oh, she fell asleep because her bitch mother, basically drugged her, right? Like no
But they're
big deal,
making
right?
they're
So
giving her
they
wine
like knock
too.
her out, and he's like, no, you can't go to sleep. And then it's like, he was just like, oh, I was just kidding. It doesn't mean. And I was
No,
just like,
No, I because that was a dramatic scene because the whole thing was that Corey Feldman said to Meredith Salinger, "I'm going to go handle Joel. Don't go to sleep." And her mother drugs her. But then when Corey Feldman is trying to wake her up, he punches through the window,
yeah,
cuts his hand, opens the thing, and then goes to her, making his blood all over her thing, and he's screaming.
yeah,
He's screaming.
yeah.
No, and then which gets the parents and kicks him out of there. But I just thought that was very dramatic.
It was
I almost
very
like it was
dramatic.
so dramatic I smiled, about how dramatic it was. I rewound it, but because
But then it was like nothing. It was like, oh, I was just kidding about that.
yeah, he was. I'm kidding. But even at that party scene where there was a gun too, Joel was drunk and he had a gun, so it got serious. But in that party scene, there was a line that he said that I always said when I was a kid. The line was, "It's a party. Who's got the chips?" So when I was a kid, I would like walk into the room and I would say, "It's a party. Who's got the chips?" I just love saying that.
So you saw? Did you see this movie when it came out?
Yeah, I remembered it.
All right.
I don't remember seeing this one. I was kind of surprised that I didn't see it. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually once I was not familiar with this film at all until like nothing rang a bell until the auditorium scene with Michael Jackson, Corey Feldman,
Mhm.
and Meredith Salinger. That scene has been reproduced many times on YouTube. So I've seen that a bunch of times, but that's my only reference to this film is like clips of that scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I don't.
Yeah, just some things that like weren't followed through to with the story. Like at the ending, it just seemed like such a quick transition. Like they switch back, and then the couple, like she doesn't remember it at all. The wife, she's just like, what happened? Like I was just like, wait, how many days passed? Like what? Okay, but then I was just like, you know what? Whatever, I don't care. Just play another song. I like it. And then you
Exactly.
see him. He's like girlfriends with her. But I was like, wait a second. But the mother like didn't approve her. He broke into the window and got blood all over her. And then like whatever happened with Joel because she was like oh, he hit me. And I don't know. I was just like, well, what happened with all that? But whatever. All I know is that the guy who played Joel was the serial killer and copycat, and that's all I could see him as. I was like, he's a murderer.
Wait, was he?
He was the copycat
Oh,
killer.
he was.
Anyone
I
who
knew.
Sigourney
I
Weaver.
looked at that guy's filmography. He's done a lot of work because
Yes.
he's very bad. He's a bad actor in this. He always goes like this, like this. Every scene he goes like this, and I'm like, how did they
With the
hire
hair.
this guy? Oh, Judy, I wanted to ask you. So, did they hire? I think his name is Michael McNamara, because I didn't think he was a very good actor in this movie. But is he that good looking that they cast him?
Wait, which guy? That's his name?
Joel.
The guy who plays Joel. He has like an attractive quality to him, but he's not. I didn't think of him as like. I don't know. I thought that his friendship with the Coreys was weird. It didn't quite like work for me. It felt forced. I was like,
that was the weirdest part of the whole film.
Yeah, I was
because
like,
it's like he's like so you have this group of like punk bullies that bully the Coreys.
They're like the bad punks,
the
and
bad
the good
ones.
punks.
And then you have like these jock guys who like the Coreys are best friends with one of them named Joel, and like Corey has a thing for Joel's girlfriend, and but Joel kind of bullies them, but they're best friends, and they don't have good friend like chemistry with each other. So you're like, wait a minute, are these guys friends? Like,
that's why I was confused.
Best friends?
I was
thought
like,
that the two Coreys were best friends.
Yeah, I was thinking, are they only friends because the girlfriends were friends? But like, I don't know if guys do that. Like,
yeah, no, but that's never like really made clear. It's just we're just supposed to assume that they're good friends until they're not.
But I think that with this movie, that's where I would say it's like really what you were saying. It's really entertaining, but there are some major flaws within, like with the casting, with the little bit of the editing, with the storylines having like massive plot holes.
That being said, with this film, let me ask you guys something.
There's so much B-roll.
Maybe I should.
20 minutes of it is B-roll.
Yeah, great. So let me ask you something. Maybe this is a good question for Seth, who's been conspicuously quiet this whole time. Would this film have been better or worse if it didn't have all of these like weird plot problems and like, isn't all these flaws that we're pointing out? If those flaws had been fixed in some way, would that have made this film worse?
No, it would have made it better.
Really?
Because all the things that you've said that are flaws are like the first 15 minutes. I was like, I would only watch the rest of this film because I had to. Like, it doesn't.
That's how I felt. I was like so furious during the first that I had to watch it, but I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
True. I had the same experience.
If you had an actor who could actually work to get down Jason Robards Jr., that would improve this film immensely.
Mm.
And also Jason Robards Jr. has the Triple Crown. He has 2 Academy Awards, an Emmy and a Tony. So he has the Triple Crown plus 1. And he's just like, he's never bad in anything. But this is a period where he starts, I guess, paying his ex-wives off because he has 4 of them.
You know, it's weird because he's
perfectly
really
respectable, though.
Yeah.
But he's also in Magnolia, which was 9 years after this. He was still acting a decade after this.
No, he was acting till he dropped.
Right. He played Tom Cruise's
husband, who's died.
Father.
Cancer.
Wasn't it Tom Cruise's father on his deathbed?
Tom Cruise's father.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
I know. I thought it was kind of ironic that his last film was called Coming Home or Going Home, and he plays the dying grandfather or father, and that was his last film.
I'll give you another piece of Jason Robards Jr. history. He was on a ship, the USS Northampton, I believe, during Pearl Harbor. It was 100 miles away from Pearl Harbor, and he was 3rd radio man. So he gave the radio call, I guess, that this was not a drill. Pearl Harbor is under attack. This is not a drill. So And another hero of the Pacific, Harry Dean Stanton, who's a Marine, is in this movie.
Yes, he is.
There must have been some really good drinking or AA meetings on this film set.
Well, I have a theory that it's impossible for a film that with Harry Dean Stanton in it to be bad, and there's some mystical reason why this film was good, and it has something to do with the fact that Harry Dean Stanton was in it. There's no other logical explanation. But somehow he made it work, even though he didn't really have a huge role in it.
No, well, he was in 1986's Pretty in Pink, another teen pop comedy. So
that's a great film.
It's a better movie. I know this, but I just wanted to say this. This movie was made to sell movie tickets. Just let that sink in. That was the whole idea here. And I kind of like that area where it's like this is made to sell things, so it doesn't really have to make sense and all this other stuff, but it's just made to sell. And then the artistic endeavors into creating a product. Because
I think you got it backwards. A movie that's made to sell tickets is supposed to make sense, and the artistic endeavors don't have to be high.
Say it again.
That's what a real movie that's made to make money is about.
Well, no, it's just made to sell. We got the two Corys. We got a script. We got a girl with a great rack, and we got all these songs. Let's just put it all together and sell it to them. And then that's what it seemed like. And
the box office dropped by 50% the next week. So
yes, it did. Yes, it did.
And it could have been a good movie. The lowest score of anything we reviewed. Anyway, I digress because the song "Dream a Little Dream" it was the Northampton. "Dream a Little" is written by Gus Kahn, and Gus Kahn wrote a whole lot of songs in the American Songbook. I'll just name a few. "Pretty Baby," "Ain't We Got Fun," "Carolina in the Morning," "Toot Toot Tootsie Goodbye," "Toot Toot Tootsie Goodbye," "My Buddy," "I'll See You in My Dreams," "It Had to Be You," "Yes Sir, That's My Baby," "Love Me or Leave Me," "Making Whoopee," "My Baby Just Cares for Me," "Dream a Little Dream for Me," and "You Stepped Out of a Dream." So he did three songs that were top songs that had dream in them.
Yeah.
German Jew.
I just
like all the great American songwriters.
I just got to say, this. I lost it in my head. Oh man, I forgot what I was going to say. There's a line from one of the themes of the film. In the end, somebody says, "Faith isn't something you find; it's something you have."
Yeah, it was really trite and cliche, whatever that. What does that mean?
Yeah, it reminds me.
Like, what about all the millions of people throughout history that had no faith and then they found it? What would they say about a line like that? It's like
they found out that they had it. But
okay, fine. And then it's just a semantical word soup. It doesn't mean anything.
Right. No, I remember what I was going to say. I heard John Krasinski in an interview, and he said something about the movie execs and how to sell a movie and what movies to make. And John Krasinski said is that I know those Hollywood execs, and they have every rubric there is to measure what kind of story with what kind of stars will make the most money, and none of it works. None of their measurements work. And he said the best thing you can do to sell tickets is to make a good movie. If you just focus on that first, people will go and see it and buy tickets. But if you make something like Dream a Little Dream, it's, it fits in your nostalgic heart with sentiment. I was even rewatching it before this because I just love the camera work.
Well, making a movie for the sake of nostalgia doesn't work unless you're going to try to sell the movie 10 years after you make it.
20 years. Yeah, no, I get it. And after this, the Piper Laurie, the year after this movie, she gets a role in Twin Peaks, and then up, sky's the limit, baby. Twin Peaks.
So
Harry Dean Stanton was also involved in Twin Peaks, not the TV show, but he was in Fire Walk with Me. Another film that I will select at some point for this program if nobody else does.
I used to have that on VHS. Wait, Meredith Selinger.
She's married to?
Patton Oswalt.
He's married, yeah, second wife to Patton Oswalt. Because Patton Oswalt's first wife died in her sleep. Of
That's
like
horrible.
crib death,
There's a
something that you
conspiracy
shouldn't even get.
theory.
Like it's a crib death thing. Adults shouldn't even get. And his book, by the way, along with our show, Silver Screen Fiend, Learning About Life from an Addiction to Film, is awesome. It's an awesome book.
Well, whose book is this?
Patton Oswalt's book.
Oh, okay.
It's about how he got an addiction to go into the movies and keeping a journal to learn about making movies so he could write a screenplay. And then when he sat down with his friends who had also written nothing to make fun of Phantom Menace, he realized that he had wasted like 5 years of his life not writing the screenplay. And so had they. So he that's the moral of the book. But it's a great book.
Yeah. Here's another
interesting.
thing. Corey Feldman gets a choreography credit.
What, for ripping off Michael Jackson?
That's what. Hey, his name was in there.
Why not?
That's it. Yeah. And there was a lot of trench coats in this. A lot of different types of trench coats.
To be fair, Michael Jackson ripped off James Brown and Bob Fosse and a whole host of other people. So,
but he's still, Corey Feldman's still doing that. Like he's
doing
still
what?
Going on shows. He's still going on shows, dancing with a bunch of hot chicks. So I think he calls them his angels that he lives with, and apes Michael Jackson.
And I'm telling you, his wife and the two Corys, she was smoking hot.
No, they're not together anymore.
Smoking hot. No wonder Corey Haim was jealous, because Corey Haim was
Corey Haim had his fair share of.
I guess he did. He did get with Nicola Egger, but check out 1993's Blown Away. If you want to see sex scenes with Corey Haim and Feldman,
that is the last thing I want to see. But
man, no, I'm telling you. All right, telling you, it was pretty hot. I dug how Bobby was wearing an Einstein shirt when he was taking the SATs. Did you guys notice that? He was taking the SATs. He was gonna, Coleman's the old guy mind is gonna, give Corey Feldman some high SATs, and then he wore an Einstein shirt.
Yes, I remember that.
That's the type of stuff I really love about that. How that costume design, they're really going for it. Mm-hmm. I really dig like the underage drinking and the cigarettes, because they were even smoking inside.
Very 80s.
Bedroom. I just think I miss that. There was a lot of it too. And then he had a gun, so he was drinking and smoking with a gun. Underage kid. It's like
shout out to Less Than Zero.
Yeah, I was thinking about
which
that.
we
That
also
was 87
did.
too. So yeah, it was a lot of these high school.
Everyone in 1989 in my school who was trying to be like a dirtbag, like I'm trouble, wore that trench coat, the army trench coat. Because
I think it was Columbine that sort of put an end to the whole trench coat thing in high school.
Put an end to that.
Yeah.
Man, even 89 flatliners, they were in school, and that was 90. That was the year after this. I'm sorry.
Well, so yeah. Anybody got anything else to add?
Yeah,
Meredith Salinger was in Lake Placid, which is a little favorite of mine.
I remember. Really, David E. Kelly.
I liked my monster films, bad ones, good ones.
Oh, by the way, she was super duper young in this film. I know that these are obviously supposed to be high school kids, but nowadays high school students are played by 25-year-olds. She was 19.
She was, and in the Hames and the Coreys, they were 18.
Yeah, exactly.
Their careers were over by the time they were 25. They were has-beens.
Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. You don't have that's the thing. Like you don't really have like teenage superstars anymore.
Right.
They're on Instagram and Snapchat. And
so it's like
it's just different.
It's different now.
It's different now.
Yeah.
You have more kids who can like go on Instagram and imitate things that they've seen in other stuff like films.
Well, they don't have to act, Seth. I mean, it's mostly just doing stupid dance moves, shaking your ass, whatever. But
like I sent you that one of that girl who's doing every move that animated character is doing, and she's doing it perfectly, and it's kind of freaky on Instagram. Like,
yeah, but you can't put a girl like that. Like, you can't take a girl like that with her talents and make her a TV sensation
you
or a
can't
film
take a funny.
sensation.
You can't take a funny guy at a bar and make him funny in a movie.
Exactly,
No.
but the point, I think the point, the big takeaway, I think, like even with like what Judy was saying is like nowadays, yeah, everybody still watches TV and movies, but also everybody sits on their phone when they only have like 10 minutes of time to waste, and they end up wasting 2 hours looking at TikTok. So
and you have a lot of I've seen this. So what my daughter watches some YouTube shows, on YouTube Kids, so everything's G-rated. But there's like all these families, a lot in Utah, a lot of Mormon families. They make these videos. It's terrible acting, but like my daughter loves it. And I'm thinking these people are making like millions of dollars. They literally have millions of followers. They have giveaways, subscriptions, and my husband watches it. This is like a commercial. I'm like, well, they hired a crew, like some Mattel hired them to promote a toy, but it's just like these kids like bad acting in their yard. And then they'll be like, I'm an actor. And I'm like, you're not really an actor. You're a bad actor on YouTube, but you're doing really well. So kudos to you. It's just a different world.
Yes, indeed it is.
I want to check some of those videos out. You're saying.
I'll send you some of my daughter's favorites.
Please.
There's a good Joe Rogan of him reviewing one of Corey Feldman's Hollywood Wants to Kill Me interviews, where then he breaks down. He shows other clips, and he shows him like doing one of his at-home music videos.
Oh,
it's very entertaining watching Rogan.
I've seen those.
Like, break it down. I think Joey Diaz might be there. The usual.
Did Rogan ever have Corey Feldman on?
I don't remember if he did. I know that he was talking about.
It doesn't matter if he did or
Saturday.
not, because he had Macaulay Culkin on. So
Okay, yeah,
that sort of covers.
Yeah.
That's the meta,
Yeah, I was a huge Macaulay fan. It's a shame though, because he's a horrible actor now. I try to get into him. I watched Saved and Party Monster when those are roles he did when he was. He only did 3 roles when he was in his 20s, and then that was it. And he's a bad actor. Like is
he a bad actor, or did he just stop caring?
He's worse than William H. Macy from last year.
Is he worse than
Yes. Is he worse than Academy Award winning William H. Macy?
Yeah.
Who? What?
William H. Macy.
Who you said is
a terrible actor.
You know what? I was
from last
thinking about
week.
that. All right, to review viewers here, I said that dare I say William H. Macy isn't a good actor.
Judy, you missed a good one last week.
Yeah, you missed a really good one.
Seth's head exploded. What?
Everyone's head exploded. My mother's head exploded. Abraham's head. It's just.
How dare you be so shocked?
Yeah. I mean, Mozart wasn't really that great of a composer.
Not that good. Neither was Zappa.
Zappa couldn't really write a song.
Elvis, no, he doesn't. Who cares? He's a thief. And Shakespeare's a plagiarist. Strindberg's a misogynist and an anti-Semite.
Dare I say he's in those monologues in Edmund, he's saying it like he memorized his lines.
Are you saying that these 2 kids didn't say every line like they memorized their lines a certain way?
They were selling it. These Coreys, they were selling it. They knew what they were doing, and they weren't trying to be so deep.
I'm selling it to you. Listen to me. I have to pass the SAT.
They knew what kind of movie they were in.
Their hands.
This movie was made to sell tickets. They knew what kind of movie.
And it didn't. And it failed to.
Yeah.
So, but the effort, it was there, man.
There's always effort, dude. You need to be on more film
the script
credits.
was good enough for Jason Robards. And
All right. Okay. I think we're ready to move it along now. So thank you, Sean, for this amazing experience.
It's free everywhere.
It's free everywhere, and once you see it, you'll understand why.
You'll understand why.
It's a really fun movie.
I think it's a great film.
It's
if
a really great film.
reality and
it's like
good writing.
It's 90210 with cigarettes and alcohol.
If you want to save time, if you don't like any of the songs, just go past that scene with the song in it, hear the song end, and then watch the next scene. Especially with the montages when he's running in the dark. Just fast forward. You get about 8 minutes of your life.
Camera was just.
Well, I will say one thing: if you don't like the songs in this, and if you don't like particularly the old timey songs, the jazz, the standards, you have no soul. So, anyway, moving along, Seth has our selection for next week. Seth, you want to tell us about Cockfighter?
Okay, we're doing Cockfighter, which is, I think, the only animal cruelty film that.
Oh no.
No, there's no real animal
Okay.
cruelty in it. The fact of the matter is, Roger Corman produced this movie, and
1974.
1974, and after he saw it, he was like, "Go get those roosters back here and catch them." None of my people who watch a Roger Corman film is going to watch this movie. So it's really like an art housey movie, and it stars what's his name? I'm blanking on his name.
That's how you know it's a film made for this podcast.
It's favorite actor of Sam Peckinpah, who was in Give Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia.
Warren Oates. Can you hear me?
What?
Yeah, Warren Oates. Now
Warren
we can
Oates.
hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, this is our first Warren Oates movie, and
This is Warren Oates' first movie?
No, this is our first movie.
Oh, our first movie with Warren.
Because there's a whole cult following on Warren Oates.
Billy Bob Thornton is his favorite fan. Billy Bob.
Yeah, there's
loves
a lot of
Warren
people.
Oates.
He died young, and he did a lot. He did 2 films with. He was good friends with Peter Fonda. And
I think Amazon Prime is probably one of the only places you can rent this. This is not an easy film to find.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Harry Dean
He's a
Stanton,
Wild Bunch.
who's a friend of his too.
Okay.
Is he in this one?
Oh, wait. No.
Cockfighter.
Sorry, guys. You can watch this for free on Tubi.
Okay.
Yay.
And if you can find the
Tubi's
DVD,
awesome.
the DVD has the only documentary I know about Warren Oates. So.
Well, in that case, I think you lent me the DVD,
Yeah.
so I will. If I'm in the city this week, which I am, I will try to watch it on DVD.
I believe it says. I believe it's called "I Have the Look of a Border Woman." It's the name of the documentary. Where sometimes I feel like a border woman. I don't.
That's
know.
interesting.
I don't. Yeah, but that's
Well,
anyway.
at any rate, we'll see you guys next Wednesday, a week from this coming Wednesday at 9:30 with Cockfighter 1974. Until then, peace out.